Good afternoon, Scott Baker. I think we're bringing up a controversial tactic here that not everyone will buy into. I think it'll be troubling for people. I'm not going to introduce it yet. I'll let you do that. I'm just stating up front.
You're just saying it. Okay.
It'll be troubling for people.
Yeah, I think everybody will love it. I don't think it's going to be bothersome at all. Okay. The field note is entitled today, if we want to get right into it, When High Performance Suffocates a Career. Suffocates a career. You're great. You're so good at what you do. It's actually destroying your career. That's field note 1721. Thank you all for joining us for today's edition of Lead Better. Feel free to jump in if you're watching live now. We love it if you're listening later too. You can share this with folks. You can probably send this to a high performer and say, this is why you're failing. I do think, and let me posit this, because at the heart of this, and we won't, drag you on to the heart of it, it's that people get too good at their jobs. And they get stuck in that job because if we promote you, it's that critical role is going to collapse, and we don't have anybody good in the pipeline for this. And so you're stuck. So the field note's talking about how you as a high performer help to develop the people that will build out the capability, either one person, team of people, so that you are less indispensable. And your indispensability is that wherever you land, whatever new challenge that you're tackling, you seem to excel. So we'll get to that. Right. But here's the thing, and this is why I can prove right away in the first 60 seconds that Mikey's apprehension is probably off base, because so many people over the last few years have said, this Lead Better thing, this conversation you guys had tested out on X for a couple of years, and how could it get better? We can't, if you guys aren't doing it, there's nothing's going to happen. It's going to be just awful. And we said, no, we think that we're probably dispensable, but what we'll do is we'll start having people on, and we'll have other people on that are better than us. And we've done that. I think we've been building this bench that if you and I were both hit by a bus, it might be the same bus, but it could also be two separate buses, one in Dallas where you are and one in Pittsburgh where I am. And we had to say, tomorrow it's Sierra and Emily. Mm-hmm. I'd like to think that for at least 2 or 3 days, people would be like, remember the good old days when Mikey and Scott used to do this?
Yeah, but you're talking just about I'll lean into this. I know that
2 weeks, but 2 weeks. I'm only sort of joking. 2 weeks from now, people will be like, "Oh, Sierra and Emily, they're doing Lead Better every day. This is great." And then after a month or two, people are like, "We don't even remember those other guys."
Right. So it's not our full-time job, though. It's not all that we're doing.
Correct.
It doesn't threaten our role in this organization for us to not do this and have somebody else do it. Right.
Yes. However, key point, and it doesn't apply to the field note, it is the favorite part of what we do. At least for me,
it is my favorite.
This is the 15 minutes, and it's not just it's because it's fun. It's fun and hopefully helpful doing it, but it actually is the thing that sort of invigorates me and you around the content. It's it makes it come alive. It makes it more real. It makes we're more likely to be able to not only personally apply it, advise other people. And then when people do talk about it and it sounds like it's helping them, we're like, there you go.
Yes. I get a lot of meaning in it for that reason as well. Mm-hmm. Okay. But let's define this issue a little bit more, because I think most of it comes from the idea of I'm a high performer, so I get a lot of responsibility. And because I'm the one who gets stuff done around the office, I get more responsibility. And because I prove that I can get things done. So my calendar is much more overloaded than a typical employee because I'm the high performer. And so I'm not afraid of a round of layoff, because everyone in the office knows that I get stuff done, that you could lay 3 other people off and I would be the person who could pick up their roles and keep chugging along, and it would be fine. Now, it drives me crazy a little bit to think that I'm rewarded for my high productivity by being given more work. But that's the way it works in a lot of organizations.
Right.
So if you're telling me that not only do I have to protect myself or give myself the ability to climb, I have to train my potential replacement, right? My tendency is to think immediately that I'm not even in the right framework. And so we had Steve in the comments actually say this to his class of, I think they're undergrad students. And he had 10 that he was, and he polled them all on our field note today and basically said, how willing would you be to train your replacement? I don't think he gave him a whole lot of context on what he was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
He just said, generally speaking, would you train? And of his class, only 5 said that they would not. And of those that said that they would do it, there's this notion of like, would you actually do it? Right. So, everybody in the class said you should, right?
Mm-hmm.
Only 2 said they would. And I bet there's a
Mm-hmm.
further drop off of that would into actually would as just 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of brings up the idea of like what it means to be an admired leader, of someone who actually is thinking philosophically about what it means to
Mm-hmm.
actually be a good citizen in the world. But most people are trying to protect themselves. And so if you give one of these undergrad students a job, and then within a couple months, they have twice as much work as anybody else in their class as they've started, and then you're saying the way to get out of this is by doing more work. And by the way, that means training your replacement. I think a lot of people won't be able to wrap their minds around it, right? And that's where I push back on it. Most people, when confronted with this question, say, you should, but I won't.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Now, that whole part where you were talking about like how valuable you are and you do work with 3 people, I think that started out as sort of a hypothetical first person. And I just want to make sure that for everybody listening, I mean, maybe Mikey really believes that. Like if people are getting laid off, he's like, I'm fine. Like I can take care of everything. And you know what? That's probably true actually in our shop.
I could slip into a role and be convincing. I'm acting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Right. Now, okay. So let me posit it this way and then push back hard. I'll go right to the heart of the controversy, which is none of us likes to think that we can be replaced, right?
Right.
If you're a great chef and you move on from a restaurant and they replace you with a great chef and you're like, I hope this place really succeeds. But deep down, you're kind of like, I hope it fails a little bit. Like it's like it's not quite as good, and then maybe later it'll be fine. And let me make my next thing more successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, we do know, and I think that probably where these high performers get stuck, there probably are specialists, because it actually does talk about this in the field note around a narrow area of expertise. Now,
Yes.
you and I have talked about this. There are about 75% of the people tend to be generalists.
Mm-hmm.
And then about 25% of the people tend to be specialists. And people that are managers, people that are often leaders tend to have a generalist sort of category or ability. Now, you might have areas of specialty that you're known for, and we all have to kind of ride a little teeter-totter of this to one degree or another. I think the people that get stuck in this field note, meaning they are high performers, they are probably the people who are specialists. They've developed a very cultivated sense. They're probably not natural managers in terms of this, right? And
Right.
so we often see that. And so they're actually not that good at helping cultivate people behind them. And I've given the illustration when I worked at television news, and you'd have somebody who was a producer of the 6 o'clock news or the 11 o'clock news. And then they make them the executive producer and they fail because they're very good at building the thing that they know how to do, but they're not good at managing 10 people doing that.
Right.
And so that same characteristic plays to the ability to say, who am I developing on my team that the 12 things that I do each day, I'm making you better at each of those things. A lot of times you'll have specialists that do apprentice, and I think that's the better way to think of it, right? It's not a build your replacement. It's if you're a master craftsman, part of the thing is that you were the apprentice of a master craftsman, and they were, and back through centuries, like whatever it is. And so part of the lineage of being that person, of being a chef, is you're always developing the next great chef. And so I think if you're building into the culture of an organization, we are an organization that develops excellence. We're going to invest in you and develop you. And we expect you to develop the people that are coming along behind you. That if you're the 13-year veteran on the team and you're wearing the C on your jersey and you're headed for the Hall of Fame, that you're investing in the kid that just walked in, who was, a 6th round draft pick. That part of that is the culture of this is who we are. Now that's different than saying hire, can you train your replacement? Right?
Yes.
I think if you build it that way, there's a nobility to it that takes away some of the edge of maybe how it was being taken or communicated to the kids in the class. Right. Fair way of developing it to the kids of the class, by the way.
Yeah. No, and you're just articulating it from a leader's point of view. And the challenge in that is to develop a program where this is part of the culture, where it's natural for people to train others in their ability. train their replacements, if you will. But the field note is actually written from a high performer's point of view, who's not necessarily a leader, who is going to get stuck. And so if I'm not the leader and I'm just the high performer, then this actually has a calculus in it that I might feel nervous about, right?
Right.
It's
but
not
remember,
part of our culture.
the motivation for that person is, do they want their career to be better? They may not. By the way, there is nothing wrong with being the specialist that's very happy doing the specialist thing that you do.
Right.
And being like, I'm going to do this as long as I can in this organization, be as valuable as I can. I don't want to be a manager. I don't want to run the plant, whatever that is. What we're saying here is for the person who's like, I keep getting passed over. And the field note examines exactly why. Because you start to drift into the background of efficiency. Your competence is expected. And so that the idea, like, well, we can't move her into this other position because then who's going to do her job, right? So I mean, that's a natural thing. But if there is a level of ambition to say, I need to get to this level to be able to do the next thing that I want to do, well, then it is a very natural thing. And I know some organizations have kind of made it a thing, which is, we expect, especially in some tech companies, we expect you to develop, be here, and then at some point move on. Some of them actually cultivate that, but we actually want you to part of that is you can't leave until there's somebody that you've helped train or hire to replace you. It's not seen as a negative thing, like we're trying to eliminate your job and push you out. We're trying to give you the freedom. This one's more about, like, we'd actually like you to be more impactful and powerful and double your salary and double your impact in the organization. But we do need you to be keeping an eye on those coming along behind you to help them be ready to kind of step into your shoes.
If you're a high performer and you're at a level of the organization where there's really nobody below you, you only have peers, then it's more than like tapping someone who's down the chain from you saying, here, let me teach you this. You actually have to get into coordination with someone who is a peer of yours to say, let's teach each other these things. And you might be able to get into that spot more naturally if your organization isn't already set up this way by saying, you know what, I'm identifying you as the person who's going to be overloaded with my work if I'm hit by a bus tomorrow. It's probably going to be you. And I'm probably going to be overloaded if you're the one who gets hit by that bus. And so we should probably start a program together that says, I'm going to teach you some things that are in my purview that are not yours, and you teach me yours. But that might need to be step one. Now, that person that you're partnering with to have this intellectual exchange program, they might not even understand why it is that you're moving up the chain that way, but you're providing capacity for yourself to be able to learn other things just by having a backup in the wings ready and available.
Yeah. Right. Yes. Now, there are noble people. Like, we had somebody on our team a few years ago who was getting ready to leave and take a new position. And she actually went back and documented every single step of everything that she did. These are all the things I do. Here's the document. Was it 20 pages? I don't remember.
Yeah, but it really was a tremendous amount. It was probably about 20 videos, much less 20 pages.
Yes, videos of each step, right?
Right.
Like, wow. Now, that's the other part, which is, are you as a leader actually demonstrating this?
Yeah.
Like, are you cultivating the people where you and the leader are saying, I'm actually in this continual idea of succession and developing that pipeline where it's not just a secret, but it's obvious. We're going to have this person go to this leadership development program. We're going to have this person lead the town hall instead of me. Are we going to be, am I handing off responsibilities and making it kind of evident that this is what I'm doing? Now, the thing underlying all of this is, when you raise this now is like when they say, can you be in charge of this particular AI agent process in our organization? Meaning, can you train this AI to do what you do so that then we don't need you anymore?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, maybe a trickier sell in a way, right? Now, you do have, as I pointed out the other day, Sam Altman saying, I am developing this AI so that I don't have to be the CEO anymore, so that there is an AI CEO of OpenAI within 2 years. Here you got the guy that in the top chair saying that he intends for the AI to replace him. Now, does that mean that he doesn't want the job? He's going to have his shares. He's got all of that. He has other things that he might want to do in the world. And it's always been the Sam Altman thing that he wants the next thing that he does to be the thing that makes his prior career look like a footnote. Now, at this point with this particular project, that might be a challenge, right? I'm not sure what that would look like. Like, there'd be a lot of things you'd have to do to remember that whole AI thing that we did for a while?
Yeah.
And we really figured it out in a different way later. Who knows? So anyway, that's I bring that to the point, which is that's kind of where the uneasiness is, because there's this idea that we'll all be replaced by the bots.
Yes, and there's also a very cynical interpretation of what you just said about Altman as well. It's because he's recognizing he might be doing this to a lot of white collar jobs in the moment, and so he needs to at least articulate the idea that he's under threat as well. But he's got a whole lot of advantages that the typical white collar worker who might lose their job to AI
very much
doesn't
so,
have,
very much
right?
so.
And so you'd like to think it's not just lip service, but what he's saying is a model for us to be able to move forward with. Like, train your replacement in such a way, give yourself capacity to do something more and better, and indicate it. That's an important step here that's listed in the field note as well. Let everybody know that these are your aspirations. And in the rare case where your opportunity for advancement doesn't come up inside the organization, you'll probably find that you've got more leverage than you think you do.
Yes, right. And that's what leads to that's the one, maybe the snappiest sentence that we've had in field notes in a long time. I put the whole thing in bold. If an organization senses you're not having the opportunity here and maybe you're going to go elsewhere, we have the sentence: when a team member is too valuable to move up, they are also too valuable to move on. So as an organization, you should be in the business of cultivating talent, helping them get out of their own way to get to this next level, help them, be the guardians of their own dreams, and help them to be the guardians of those that are coming behind them.
Great. Optimistic. This is fantastic. Thank you.
Hopefully.
Appreciate that.
All right. See you tomorrow.